Hey y'all, Pastor Emil here, coming to you live from my office at Open Arms. Always forget to check how clean it is behind me, and if you can see the mess that's right here or not. Doesn't look like it. Whew. Hallelujah. But just want to come to you and encourage you again. It's been a few days since I've done a video about the Love Challenge, but I am convinced that this is something that's really important. I have tried to be a part of so many conversations. I've tried to be a part of so many discussions around the difficult issues that are facing us today, facing our nation today, facing us in our communities. And I just keep finding that love seems to be one of the biggest things that's just not present in these conversations. I was actually just on the phone with a pastor, different part of the country, but struggling with a lot of these same things, struggling with how do we actually get anywhere with all of this stuff going on. We're leaning into all the conversations, and we're reading the Bible and we're praying, and we just find that when we enter, no matter which side, we wind up getting called the other, right? So like if we wind up having conversations with people on the left, we get called a racist or a right-wing crazy nut job. Or if we go into the right and we start having these conversations, we find ourselves being called a leftist, a Marxist, whatever. And it just doesn't seem to be a place anywhere on either side to have a real conversation about real issues and help us get somewhere. And I'll be talking about more of that in detail, I think, at some point. I've got a few ideas for podcasts and things I'll be working on. But I do think that love is at the heart of it. If you haven't noticed this yet, I posted a video. It's a lecture and a conversation, a panel discussion with a professor at NYU and Tim Keller. He's a Presbyterian pastor. He started Redeemer Presbyterian Church in Manhattan. And the two of them, one who's an atheist and this guy's a Christian pastor, two very different worldviews in a lot of ways, and yet there they were having this conversation. And the conversation was about how Americans can't have conversations. The Closing of the Modern Mind was the title on the video there. If you get a chance, invest the time, even if you got to chop it up into chunks and watch it a little bit here and a little bit there. Just some really important stuff. And this is from a few years ago. It's only more relevant and more urgent now. But for us as Christians, love, the scriptures that talk about love, particularly 1 Corinthians 13, I think are at the heart of where we are going to find a way to be a part of the conversation, no matter where it is, which side is hosting or which side we're having a conversation with. So, Love is Kind is the one that really stuck out to me today. There was a guy that I married this couple probably about 6-7 years ago now. And this guy, when we were doing some premarital stuff, he said something that stuck with me for a really long time. Say what you mean what you say, don't say it mean, right? And so this is the context of premarital counseling, and so I'm saying, hey, we're talking about conflict resolution, and he says, oh, so say what you mean what you say, don't say it mean. I was like, that's great, awesome, and that phrase has stuck with me, and I think it's helpful. Kindness does not mean you never say anything that contradicts or opposes or disagrees with someone else. And that's the kind of situation I feel like I'm in as I'm trying to have conversations on both sides. I'm neither one. I'm a citizen of the kingdom of Christ. First and foremost, my American citizenship is something I value. I think it's awesome. I'm proud to be an American, but it is so far down the list on aspects of my identity as a child of God that I'm willing to have a conversation with anybody for the sake of everybody. So kindness is not, when you're trying to have these conversations, I feel like I've been shut down in a lot of ways. That is not that's not helpful. That's not love. You can't expect someone to always agree with you 100% of the time. You can't expect someone to have only nice things to say to you, to have only things that you agree with and that you support all the time. That's just not how life works. In fact, if you look throughout the scriptures, there's a few places in Proverbs where it says, actually, you know, an enemy multiplies kisses, but faithful are the wounds of a friend. Right? So how do we get to a place where there's at least someone in our lives that can contradict us? Right? And I think it starts with us as Christians being able to be kind. You know, we are so unkind. I've been a part of all kinds of conversations and all kinds of groups I've been in on Facebook, you know, and these people are explicitly there for some sort of Christian purpose, and then they will take something about an enemy, that was someone they believe to be an enemy politically or in whatever other way there is possible, and they'll post something about oh, look at how they screwed up. Let's laugh and kick them while they're down. Yeah, that's Christian, right? You're there for an explicitly Christian purpose, and I would give you more details about this. I'd be more specific, but I'm trying not to intentionally antagonize people that may come across this, right? And it's far more widespread than just one instance, and so I don't want to give that impression that I'm picking on anybody, because it's everywhere, it's everybody. Why can't we love our enemies? Why are we so wrapped up in being unkind when it suits our purposes, our agenda, our political purposes, our family, lifestyle, economic, whatever purposes, right? Why is it that we feel suddenly that it's okay to win, right? To one-up somebody, to remind them that they just look foolish, to remind them that you think you're better than them and that their sin is greater than your sin. And how did we get here? If this is the Christian nation that so many people think it is, and so many think it has been, how did we get here? How is it that Christians celebrate this kind of behavior at times? Again, I am just as guilty of this, and I look back with tremendous guilt and shame over who I have been in the past, who I am still in the present. When the pressure is on, when stress is on, and situations are difficult, tensions are high, I get unkind. Because I just need, right? I mean, I got 4 kids. My wife and I, we've got 4 kids. We've got a puppy now who's making everybody cranky and everybody unkind because we just want the dog to do this, right? Like, she's doing pretty good with the potty training, and she's doing pretty good with a lot of things, but there are these moments, like this one time a day where she just like absolutely goes berserk. There was a full moon, and I think it was like a reddish moon. There was some bizarre, weird astronomical thing happening, and that night she was just absolutely nuts. Okay, and then when the storm started getting closer here, I feel like last night she started getting nuts, right? There are these times like I swear she's just got to poop and she just won't go poop, and she's just going nuts, and it drives everybody nuts, and we just want her to behave, and we just want things to be right, and then we start getting unkind to each other, right? And I think that may be kind of what's happening in our world, our country, our communities. I think we all sense something's not right. and we want to fix it. We really, really, really want to fix it. And so we just want to be like, just fix it. Just be fixed. Just happen. Just, why can't it just be all better? I think we've all watched way too many Disney movies, by the way. We've probably watched way too many Disney movies. We've heard far too many fairy tales, and we think that there's just this happily ever after, that just you snap your fingers and everything's all better, and that's just simply not how life works. But when you're a Christian, and the God of love sends his own Son to demonstrate that love in such a profound way, with kindness even to the people that he knew would betray him, kindness even to the people he knew would have him falsely convicted on trumped-up charges, the greatest injustice that has ever been. There is no injustice that comes even close to the injustice that Jesus experienced, right? He went through all of this, and he kept his mouth shut. He was kind. He loved his enemies. And even when he said things that they didn't like, their reaction is what caused things to flare up. I don't think it was Jesus being unkind. And if God is love and Jesus is God in the flesh, then love incarnate in Jesus would have been kind. So how can we contradict people? How can we have conversations? How can we have arguments and discussions with people? How do we have dialogue? How do we get somewhere with all these things? Guys, we got to start being kind. And we got to start calling out unkindness among Christians, no matter what they are supporting. Right, so if we're Christians and we love Jesus and we're with a group of Christians and we hear something about people that are opposed to us in some way, even atheists, even people that would advocate the outright persecution and slaying of all the Christians in this country, and it would be good for us to make them look bad, don't do it. Be kind. Be kind even to your enemies. When you have someone that you love, that you want to, like if my wife wants to, she's much better at this than I am. My wife is very kind. Not always, but far more often than I am. She has a way of just basically not saying anything in the moment, and she'll tell me later that I was a jerk. When I'm not in a aggravated state, if that's the way I can say it, I don't know. If we can't be kind in a particular moment, if responding at all in a particular moment to someone who's already agitated, maybe the most kind thing to do is to say nothing. Maybe the most kind thing to do is to wait, to be patient. Maybe the most kind thing to do is to just give them a hug. Maybe the most kind thing to do is to put the best construction on it and say, you know what? I know why they're like this. They have a puppy who's not listening at home. All right? If we want to get anywhere, we have got to start being kind. Now, I'm doing a series on Galatians. We're going through the book of Galatians on Sunday mornings here. And I'm already kind of like, well, see, I just gave you a whole bunch of law. I just told you, behave, right? I just told you, here's what you need to do. Well, yes and no. I think if you're a Christian and you know Jesus, you understand the gospel of Jesus Christ. You understand that you are in no matter what happens, whether your enemy wins or not, whether the issue you're in favor of wins or not. You don't need to win anything. You don't need to win the person that you're trying to maybe share something hard with. right? You don't need that because you have all that you need already in Jesus. You already have God in the flesh who came and was patient and was kind and was the epitome of love and gave up his entire life for you. There's nothing else we need. We can give up our entire lives for the people that God places around us. If God chose kindness instead of annihilation, which he could have done rightly and justly and fairly, he could have just wiped us all out and gotten rid of us and just started over, right? He could have done that, but he chose not to. If God chose kindness, I think we can choose kindness. And kindness also is very selective about the issues, right? Just because you have something that you know somebody else isn't going to like hearing, maybe you don't ever have to say anything. That's a possibility too, right? It may not be the end of the world if they don't know that you think something about them needs to change, right? What we are really indicating when we are unkind, when I'm unkind to my wife and to my kids, and when we're all unkind to each other because of the puppy, right? What we're really saying is that something is more important than kindness. Something is more important than Jesus. Something is our God that is not Jesus. Our God is our nice, comfy routine. Our nice, stable, calm, peaceful home. That is far more important to us than Jesus, than the puppy, than, right, so many other things that need to be important, right? And when we feel like we absolutely have to tell somebody about a sin, about a political position, about whatever, what we're saying is those things are the most important things. And they're not. Even if someone you know has a sin or something and you're really worried about them because they're ensnared in this sin, the Bible does tell us to talk to people who are ensnared in sin, right? But if we act like sin is what keeps people from God, we've not read the New Testament. What keeps people from God is unbelief. There's only one sin, right, that really ultimately gets in the way of people having forgiveness and eternal life and salvation. It's not their sin. It's belief. And how are they going to believe in a God who's patient, who's kind, who's all these other things that we'll talk about with love? How are they going to believe that when we say it if we are the least patient and the least kind people they have ever met in their entire life? How is it that they will ever believe that if their atheist, secular, progressive friends, right, their Buddhist friends, their Muslim friends, if all of them are far more kind than we are? Goodness gracious, like, why would they listen to us? Why? I wouldn't. So, God loves you. You are in. You don't need life to go a certain way. You don't need a particular political party, group of political people on one particular side to affirm you and to love you and accept you. You don't need a particular church community, a club, sort of. Like, you don't need that group to affirm you and love you and accept you. You don't need anyone. You have Jesus. And in Jesus, you are loved and accepted and forgiven with all of your warts and all of your failures. And he is still kind to you, even when he knows what you're doing may not be what he wants you to do. He is patient and he is kind in the ways that he tries to help you and he's doing it for your benefit, not because he needs you to do it, right? And that's how I kind of feel like we're acting and we're behaving, treating each other now. So anyway, hey, this was a lot longer than I anticipated. I hope you're taking this love challenge thing seriously. Read 1 Corinthians 13 every day, and I'll try and do a number of these posts, maybe not every day, but some at least as frequently as I can. And like it and share it, and if you think this is something that people should be taking up, this love challenge, this idea that maybe if we all read 1 Corinthians 13, maybe we'd be better equipped to enter into these conversations. Maybe we wouldn't be so worried about what's going to happen. Maybe we'd be more faithful people. We'd understand and appreciate Jesus far more. Spread the word somehow. Spread the word. And let's see if we can't get somewhere. All right, y'all. Sorry for the late arrivals here. God bless you. Take a look at the replay. Like and comment and share, and we'll catch you soon. God bless you. Bye-bye.